So dear friend, today we will discuss the anatomy of the mandibular nerve. Mandibular nerve, as you know, is one of the important nervous component of the infratemporal fossa, and this mandibular nerve is a branch of the trigeminal nerve which come from the one of the branch from the trigeminal ganglia. You will see how the trigeminal ganglia is situated here. Here this is, this is the posterior cranial fossa and this is the middle cranial fossa. In between there is a petrous temporal bone here. So this is the petrous temporal bone. Here, this apex of the petrous temporal bone, and this is the depression, the trigeminal depression here. Okay, it's right here, the apex, like this. And here, the mandibular nerve comes from the trigeminal nerve, and trigeminal nerve arises from the pons. And this trigeminal nerve is a mixed nerve which has the two roots. The large sensory root here, this is the large sensory root, and from the medial side of the sensory root, a small motor root arises here. Okay, and both root passes towards the petrous part of the temporal bone here towards the apex here, and at the apex there is a trigeminal ganglia situated in the trigeminal depression here. This is a trigeminal ganglia. So this nerve, the trigeminal nerve, attached to the trigeminal ganglia, while here this sensory motor root passes medial to the trigeminal nerve and it rises, but when it passes further forward towards the middle cranial fossa, now this motor root passes below the trigeminal ganglia here, like this. Okay, yeah. Now from the trigeminal ganglia, the three branches comes. This is the ophthalmic nerve, which passes through the superior orbital fissure, like this here, and enters into the superior orbital fissure, enters and then enters into the orbit here. The second branch is here, the maxillary nerve comes and passes towards the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus. Both nerves passes through the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus and then comes out through the foramen laetandum and enters into the here the maxillary pterygopalatine fossa. Third nerve is that this is the mandibular nerve. Okay, and this mandibular nerve here comes behind the floor of the cavernous sinus. This is the large sensory root and this is the small motor root which passes below the here the motor root here. Clear? Now these both root now comes out through the foramen oval here. Suppose this is the foramen oval here. So both root comes out separately here. This is the motor, this is sensory root large, and this is the motor root small. Okay, which passes below the sensory root. Now both root, as soon as it comes out from the foramen oval, both root unite here to form the trunk of the mandibular nerve. So this is the trunk of the mandibular nerve. Yeah. And this trunk of the mandibular nerve descends slightly downward and then divide into the anterior division and the posterior division. Okay, so this is the posterior division, this is the anterior division. So this is how the mandibular nerve comes out of the trigeminal ganglia, passes to the foramen oval, descends downward, two roots separately comes out, unite to form the trunk. Now what are the relation of this nerve? If you see the relation of the nerve here, suppose this is the foramen oval. Okay, here behind the foramen oval here on the lateral side, okay, lateral to the foramen oval here, there is a foramen spinosum. Okay, and here. And behind the foramen and lateral to the foramen oval spinosum there is a mandibular fossa here. So this is the mandibular fossa here, where the head of the mandible articulate. It's like ramus and the ball. Ramus and the ball. Okay, so this is the mandible. Yeah. Now, how the nerves related to the different structure? Look here. Suppose I just draw the diagram. Okay. This is the sensory root, and this is a motor root, and this is the sensory root, large. Okay. Both root come separately here and then unite to form the trunk of the mandibular nerve. Now this trunk of the mandibular nerve is related laterally to the lateral pterygoid muscle. We have seen already here the lateral pterygoid muscle arises from the here the crest here, the crest of the sphenoid bone, and the lateral pterygoid plate here like this. Okay, so it is related laterally to the lateral pterygoid muscle. Medially it is related to the tensor pallati muscle, the muscles of the palate here. Between the tensor pallati muscles and the mandibular nerve trunk, there is a otic ganglia situated here. So deep to the here, there is a otic ganglia. Okay, so otic ganglia situated between the tensor pallati muscle and the trunk of the mandibular nerve. Behind, posteriorly, this trunk is related to the middle meningeal artery. This is the middle meningeal artery here, which comes from the first part of the maxillary artery, the branch of the first part of the maxillary artery here. Okay, here. So this is the middle meningeal artery. So middle meningeal artery related the mandibular trunk posterior side. Okay, here. So these are the certain relation of the mandibular nerve. And as you know, mandibular nerve, it is shown now. Mandibular nerve is a mixed nerve. It has a sensory component and the motor component here. Okay. Here. Now, after this, come on the branches. What are the branches of this mandibular nerve? Mandibular nerve gives branches from its trunk, and then branches come from the two divisions, the posterior division and the anterior division, like this. Okay, here. So this is the anterior division, posterior division, branches come from the trunk here. Okay. Now what are the branches? Okay, look here. Now branches come from the trunk. Okay. First they come the trunk here. This is the foramen bone. Here the two roots unite to form the trunk here. Okay. Now from the trunk here, first branch comes the nervous spinosum or the meningeal branch. This meningeal branch comes from the trunk, passes posteriorly here, and then enters into the middle cranial fossa through the foramen spinosum here. So the foramen spinosum here. This is the foramen spinosum, and for the foramen spinosum, middle meningeal artery enters here. Okay. So this is the first branch, the meningeal branch, foramen. So the foramen spinosum goes. This is the nervous spinosum. Second branch is the nerve to medial pterygoid here come. Okay. Now nerve to medial pterygoid. This is the nerve to medial pterygoid. Okay. Look here. Suppose this is the here the mandible. Here, and here is the medial pterygoid muscle, which have the two heads, superficial head and the deep head here. So this nerve to medial pterygoid. So nerve to medial pterygoid here comes from the trunk, descends downward, deep to the lateral pterygoid muscle first, then deep to the medial pterygoid muscle, and supply the medial pterygoid muscle from its deep surface. Now, while this nerve to medial pterygoid descends, it passes through the otic ganglia here. In this region, you see the otic ganglia here. Okay, here. Now, this nerve to medial pterygoid give branches which passes through the otic ganglia. Okay, here. I'm drawing a separate diagram here. Suppose this is the nerve trunk, and I'm drawing the this aortic ganglia slightly anteriorly, though it is not anteriorly here. I am drawing separately. Suppose this is the aortic ganglia here. So now to medial pterygoid here, descends downward like this. Okay, this now gives us to the branch which passes through the aortic ganglia, and this passes without relay in the aortic ganglia and supply the two muscle. The one is the tensor pallati muscle here, tensor pallati, and the tensor tympani muscle here. Okay, so this now to medial pterygoid passes through the aortic ganglia without relay and supply the two muscle. So these are the branches come from the trunk of the mandibular nerve. Now what are the branches from the anterior division here? Okay, now in this relation just we will see here anterior division. So this is the anterior division and this is the posterior division of the nerve. Okay, now anterior division. What about the anterior division? Anterior division here gives rise to the one sensory branch, that is the buccal nerve, and three muscular branches, motor branches, which supply the temporalis muscle, masseter muscle, and the lateral pterygoid muscle. What are about this? Look here. Suppose this is the here the lateral pterygoid muscle. This is the superficial head, and this is the deep head. So lower head. Okay, here. Now, this anterior division. Anterior division gives rise to the first, the nerve to lateral pterygoid here. So this nerve to lateral pterygoid here enters into the lateral pterygoid muscle. So its deep surface or it's a medial surface supply the lateral pterygoid muscle. Now this also gives rise to the deep temporal nerves. Yeah. Deep temporal nerve comes through the upper border of the lateral pterygoid muscle here, ascends upward through the here the bone, the skull bone here. Okay, here it passes, comes through the upper border lateral pterygoid muscle, ascends upward deep to the zygomatic arch, passes very close to the here base of the temporal floor of the temporal fossa here, and then ascends upward and supply the temporalis muscle here. Okay, so these are the deep temporal nerves. Okay, here. Now the third muscular nerve is the masseteric nerve. This masseteric nerve again here comes from the anterior division here. It passes through the upper border of the, it comes out the upper border of the lateral pterygoid muscle, then passes through the masseteric notch here. This is the masseteric notch, and then here supply the masseter muscle through its deep surface here. Okay, here. So it comes to the upper border and then supply here. Passes superficial to the tendon of the lateral pterygoid and supply the masseter muscle. So this is the masseteric nerve. Now the fourth branch, which is known as the sensory branch. Okay. Now this sensory branch here comes from the upper, and this sensory branch passes to the two head of the lateral pterygoid muscle here. Look here. This is the lateral pterygoid muscle, upper head and the lower head. Okay, here, somewhere here, and now anterior division. Okay, from the anterior division here, the buccal nerve comes out, and this buccal nerve comes out from the two head of the lateral pterygoid muscle. It passes here and then descends downward here. Okay, it descends downward here and here, descends downward and passes just anterior to the anterior border of the masseter muscle. It, after coming out here, look here, this is suppose mandibular neck. So somewhere the muscle is not so, this lateral muscle is not so large here. So now comes like this here and passes through the anterior border of the masseter muscle and passes, then pierces the buccinator muscle here, buccinator muscle, and then supply the mucous membrane deep to the buccinator muscle and the skin of the cheek in this region, which cover the buccinator muscle. So buccal nerve, do not confuse here the buccal branch of the facial nerve. This buccal nerve is sensory, it carries the sensory sensation from the mucous membrane inside the buccinator muscle and the skin outside the buccinator muscle. While the buccal branch of the facial nerve supplies the buccinator muscle. So two nerves are different, though the name are the same, but the functions are the different. One is the motor, one is the sensory. Okay. So these are the branches which come from the anterior division of the mandibular nerve. Okay. Now, what are the branches from the posterior division? Look here. Branches from the posterior division here. Suppose this is the trunk, anterior division and the posterior division. Okay. Now, posterior division, what are branches? There are three branches come from the posterior division. They are all are the sensory except the one, the inferior nerve, which also carries the motor fiber here. Okay, which supply the myelod. We will come later on here. Now, first nerve from the posterior division, there is the auriculotemporal nerve here. Now, this auriculotemporal nerve, which comes from the posterior division, this nerve arises by the two roots. Okay, these two roots here. These two roots unite to form the auriculotemporal nerve, and in between the two roots here, the middle meningeal artery passes. Middle meningeal artery from the maxillary artery passes. Okay, so we can say the two roots of the auriculotemporal nerve winds around the middle meningeal artery here. Okay, now this, after passing through the middle meningeal artery here, then this nerve passes towards the neck of the mandible and deep to the lateral pterygoid muscle, the tendon here. Suppose this is the head and this is the neck. Okay. I think this is I'm just correct the diagram here. Okay, like this. So this nerve passes deep to the neck of the mandible, deep to the tendon of the lateral pterygoid muscle, and then passes between the neck of the mandible and the sphenomandibular ligament here. Sphenomandibular ligament arises from the spine of the sphenoid bone here and reaches towards the lingula of the mandibular foramen. Okay, like this. Okay, somewhere here is the mandibular foramen. Clear? So this now auriculotemporal nerve passes between the neck of the mandible and the sphenomandibular ligament, then it passes here and then ascends upward here in front of the pinna. Okay, in front of the pinna, or here the external costing meatus, okay, or behind the root of the zygoma here. Clear? Yeah. So it ascends upward here and divide into the branches and supply the skin of the temporal region. We will see what are the branches. So this is the auriculotemporal. So if you see the auriculotemporal nerve, the relation of the auriculotemporal nerve here finds the two roots of the middle meningeal artery covered by the lateral pterygoid muscle, passes backward deep to the lateral pterygoid tendon, then passes between the neck of the mandible and the sphenomandibular ligament, then turns upward behind the temporomandibular joint, ascends upward and supply the skin. Now what are the branches of the auriculotemporal nerve? Auriculotemporal nerve, they are the here give rise, and this auriculotemporal is very important here. This auriculotemporal nerve carry the secretomotor fiber, okay, from the lesser petrosal nerve here. Lesser petrosal nerve comes from the mandibular foramen ovale here. This is the lesser petrosal nerve here, and this lesser petrosal nerve here passes through the auricular branch and then carry the secretomotor fiber. So these are the secretomotor fiber passes to the auriculotemporal nerve and then ascends and supply the secretomotor fiber to the parotid gland here. Clear? So this is an important communication with the auriculotemporal nerve with the lesser petrosal nerve. This lateral petrosal nerve here, which come from the glossopharyngeal nerve. So what are the branches? Now branches of the auriculotemporal nerve are, first is here, in this region here, it gives the cutaneous branches to the tragus of the pinna, okay, and the skin of the lateral side of the pinna, upper half, and the external acoustic meatus, upper half and the anterior wall of the external acoustic meatus, and the tympanic membrane, okay, anterior half of the tympanic membrane. Clear? So these are the branches which give the skin of the pinna and the external acoustic meatus here. One branch is given to the articular branch here. We supply the capsule of the TM joint here. And the further branch here, it ascends upward and gives rise to the temporal branch and supply the skin of the temporal region here. Skin, it ascends upward, supply the skin of the temporal region. Okay. So these are the branches here. One is the cutaneous branch, supply the skin of the pinna. Another cutaneous branch supply the skin of the temporal region, and the third branch is the articular branch, which supply the joint, the TM joint. Okay, and this is a communicating branch. This communicating branch here, the lesser petrosal nerve communicate with the auriculotemporal nerve, which carry the secretomotor fiber. So this is all about the auriculotemporal nerve. Now second nerve is the lingual nerve. Okay, what about the lingual nerve? This lingual nerve here, this lingual nerve comes from the posterior division, okay, descends downward, clear, behind the lateral pterygoid muscle, then it comes from the lower border of the lateral pterygoid muscle here, okay, yeah, this is the lateral pterygoid muscle. So this lingual nerve emerges from the lateral pterygoid muscle, lower border lateral pterygoid muscle here, descends downward here. Okay, then it passes superficial to the medial pterygoid muscle here. Here will come the medial pterygoid muscle here. Here. Okay, here. So it comes superficial between the, we can say between the mandible and the medial pterygoid muscle here. So it comes superficial to the medial pterygoid muscle. Then it passes here behind the third molar tooth here. Okay, so this is the third molar tooth here. It passes just behind the third molar tooth between the origin of the superior constrictor muscle superiorly and the mylohyoid muscle inferiorly here. So it descends downward like this here. It passes like this here. Clear? So if you see here the I am drawing the inner side of the mandible. Like this. Okay. This is the third molar tooth, second molar tooth, and the first molar tooth. Premolar, second, first. Okay, here. So this nerve here descends downward like this. Okay, here. Here. It passes just behind the third molar tooth here. Okay, here. Third molar tooth here. Between the origin of the superior constrictor muscle. Superior constrictor muscle arises from the behind the third molar tooth here. There is a pterygomandibular raphe is connected here, and this is the mylohyoid muscle, okay, which comes from mylohyoid line. So this, in this region, this lingual nerve passes just behind and covered by the mucous membrane. So it can easily felt here behind the third molar tooth here. Clear? So this is only covered by the mucous membrane in this region here. Clear? So after this, it passes anteriorly here, okay, and then here, how it passes now in the submandibular region. Look here, in the submandibular region, there is the styloid process, and this is the mandible. This is the tooth here, and this is the hyoid bone. This is the mylohyoid muscle here. This is the hyoglossus muscle. Okay, this is the styloglossus. Passes lateral to the hyoglossus muscle, and hyoglossus muscle is merged with styloglossus muscle. Now this nerve, after arising here, mandible passes here. Suppose this is the mandible here. So this nerve, after coming lingual, this nerve then passes and crosses the styloglossus muscle here. Okay, here. And then passes over the just superficial to the hyoglossus muscle here. Okay, and in the hyoglossus muscle here, it is communicated with the submandibular ganglia. Okay, here. Now before it here, when it descends downward, okay, before it will descend downward here, it is communicated with the coda tympani nerve. This is the coda tympani nerve, which communicate to the lingual nerve with the acute angle here. Okay, so it descends in the infratemporal region here. This lingual nerve, it communicated with the coda tympani nerve. Clear? And this coda tympani nerve sends the fiber, the secretomotor fiber, to the lingual nerve, and through the lingual nerve, these fiber relay in the submandibular ganglia, and then here. And this nerve is very important. Now look here. This is the deep part of the gland, submandibular gland here. From the deep part of the gland, this submandibular duct, salivary duct passes here. Okay. Now this nerve, when passes in the submandibular region, the lingual nerve here, it crosses the submandibular gland from the anterior side. Okay, or we can say the lateral side here. It crosses, passes inferiorly, then passes medial to this duct here. Okay. So first crosses on the lateral side, okay, anterior side here, and then passes inferior to the duct, and passes then medial to the duct, and then enters into the floor of the oral cavity and towards the tip of the tongue here. Yeah. So this is the how. So this lingual nerve is connected to the submandibular ganglia here. Yeah. Now what are the branches? If you see what are the branches, the supply of the lingual nerve. This lingual nerve here, clear? Now, as I told you, it is connected to the coda tympani nerve. Clear? Yes. Suppose this is a coda tympani nerve here. It's connected to the coda tympani nerve here. And this coda tympani nerve carry the secretomotor fibers towards the submandibular ganglia here. So preganglionic fiber ends here, and the postganglionic fiber supply the submandibular gland. Okay, a few fiber again enters into the lingual nerve and then supply the sublingual gland. Okay, here sublingual salivary gland here. So first they supply the submandibular gland and the fiber of the coda tympani nerve. This lingual nerve here also give rise to the cutaneous the sensory fiber towards the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Suppose this is the tongue. Okay, here. So this is the sulcus part here. Okay, here. Sulcus limitans here. Clear? So this is the anterior. So anterior 2/3 of the tongue is supplied by the lingual nerve, which carry the general sensation, pain and temperature. Fiber passes through this lingual nerve here. And also the floor of the oral cavity. It supplies the here. When it passes through the hyoglossus muscle, it supplies the floor of the oral cavity. Yeah. So they are the general sensation fiber from the oral cavity and the tongue, before the tongue, and also this lingual nerve also communicated with the hypoglossal nerve here. So this is the hypoglossal nerve which supply the muscles of the tongue, except one muscle, and this hypoglossal nerve is communicated with the lingual nerve here. Okay, this communicates with the lingual nerve, and this connection is very important because it is said here this fiber, this connecting fiber carry the proprioceptive sensation from the muscles of the tongue, which enters through the lingual nerve and enters into the mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve here. So this is the important communication with the hypoglossal nerve, with the lingual nerve, which carry the proprioceptive sensation from the muscles of the tongue. Okay, so this is the, I think, all about the lingual nerve. And also third, this is also communicated, I told you, communicated with the coda tympani nerve. The coda tympani nerve, it carry the spatial senses, the 10 sensations of the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Okay, and also it carry the secretomotor fibers towards the submandibular ganglia and towards the sublingual gland and submandibular gland. So this is the lingual nerve. Now the third nerve is here, the inferior alveolar nerve. What about the inferior alveolar nerve? This is the mandible, head of the mandible, neck, convex process, and this is the ramus and the body. Okay, so this is there. Now look here. This is the suppose posterior division. Okay, posterior division, the third nerve which comes is the inferior alveolar nerve. This inferior alveolar nerve here descends downward, same as the at the lower border of the lateral pterygoid muscle here. Okay, here. So the lateral pterygoid muscle, lower border, it emerges from the lateral pterygoid muscle here and passes towards the mandibular foramen. Here is the mandibular foramen here. Suppose this is the mandibular foramen. Okay, so inferior alveolar nerve passes deep to the lateral pterygoid muscle here, superficial to the medial pterygoid muscle. In this region, the medial pterygoid muscle will come like this. Okay, so nerve passes superficial to this here, and then this nerve passes between the ramus of the mandible and the sphenomandibular ligament. I told you here with the sphenomandibular ligament will come here like this here, because there is a lingula of the mandibular foramen is there. So this passes, and this sphenomandibular ligament is connected to the lingula, and this nerve passes between ramus of the mandible and the lingula and the sphenomandibular ligament. Then it enters into the here the inferior this mandibular foramen, and then passes through the mandibular canal here. This is the mandibular canal here. This nerve passes through the mandibular canal. Okay, here. Now, before enters into the mandibular foramen, this nerve, the inferior alveolar nerve, gives us to the one branch, that is the nerve to mylohyoid here. Okay, which pierces the sphenomandibular ligament and then descends, passes through the groove for the mylohyoid. Here the mylohyoid line is there. Okay, here suppose this is the mylohyoid line, and below the mylohyoid line there is a groove. A small groove is there in the mandible, and this nerve passes below the line, mylohyoid line, and then passes superficial to the mylohyoid muscle and supply the mylohyoid muscle, the anterior belly of the digastric. So this is the nerve to mylohyoid which comes from the inferior alveolar nerve and supply the mylohyoid muscle. Now what about here? The inferior alveolar nerve enters into the mandibular foramen and then mandibular canal here. And in the canal here, look here how they supply, how this nerve, inferior alveolar nerve supplied. This is the mandible. Suppose the cut end of the mandible. I just drawing the whole diagram. Okay. Yeah. Suppose these are the teeth. Suppose this is the third molar tooth, the second molar tooth, the first molar tooth, second premolar, first premolar, then the canine, then the incisor. Okay, here. Now this nerve passes in the mandibular canal here, and it gives to the dental branches here. These dental branches supply the premolar and the molar tooth, the pulp of the, there is the sensation here. And the further continues the incisive branch. Okay, these are the dental branch here, and this is further continues the incisive branch, and this incisive branch here supply the incisor teeth and the canine teeth here, the pulp, and the remaining of the nerve comes out from the mental foramen here. Okay, mental foramen, and for the mental foramen it supplies the skin of the chin and the mentum here. Okay, skin of the chin and the mentum here. So this is the mental foramen here. For this here, the remaining of the nerve, the mental nerve, just given the name mental nerve. This mental nerve passes, comes out from this mental foramen and supply the skin of the mental area and the chin area. So this is the, I think, all about the inferior alveolar nerve here. Okay, now this is all about the mandibular nerve. If you see the applied aspect of this mandibular nerve is very, very important here. There is a referred pain occur. Referred pain occur whenever there is a dental caries is there here, or either there is a carcinoma of the tongue or any abnormality, or the pain sensation occur in the floor of the oral cavity. So this pain sensation can also refer towards the territorial supply of the auriculotemporal nerve. Maybe the pain may fell in the ear, when pain fell in the temporal region here. So this referred pain occur here. And also referred pain also occur when there is a, see the dental caries are there. So all of we have experience, whenever there is dental caries there, we feel the severe headache here. So why? Because this meningeal branch of the mandibular nerve carries the sensation from the middle cranial fossa, the dura mater middle cranial fossa. So whenever there is a irritation occur, the pain sensation feel here. So this pain sensation also refer to the head region. It leads to the headache here. And the third important is the mandibular block is given here. Okay, mandibular block. Sometimes whatever there is a trigeminal neuralgia occur. Trigeminal neuralgia is a severe pain occur in the distribution of the trigeminal nerve here. So in which the mandibular nerve is also involved. So when the mandibular nerve is also involved here, so we give the injection of the lignocaine, or the anesthetic agent passes for the mandibular notch here, 4 cm to the mandibular notch towards the this is a foramen oval, and through the foramen oval the sensory root. In the sensory root here the anesthetic agent or the lignocaine agent injected here, or maybe the alcohol injected, so it can desensitize the mandibular nerve and give it to the pain relief here. When all the pain remedies are failed, then we try this mandibular block here. Okay. Sometimes we also give when we remove the teeth here, extraction of the this molar tooth occur. We have to done molar tooth extraction here. So what's happened? We give the mandibular block here. Okay, here. So I think this is all about the mandibular nerve. Okay, thank you.